Starting my accounting firm has completely changed my life, and it will change yours too, if done right. And after running my firm for the last 5 years, working with dozens and dozens of clients, and hiring my own staff, in this video, I'll walk you through how to start your own accounting firm, and more importantly, how to scale your firm to tons of happy clients and happy staff. But first, this actually isn't my first company. I started my first company in 2014 when I left my first job at Big Four. Well, I sort of left. They kind of let me go. It was complicated. But I decided that starting a business would make the most sense since I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I did just that. My co-founders and I started Skill Silo, where we taught people languages via video chat. Simply log on to learn a language like Spanish and get your very own live tutor from anywhere in the world for an affordable price. People told me not to start a business and to go the safe route of working at another accounting firm. They said I didn't have users, I didn't have a validated business model or what's known as product market fit. I couldn't make any money selling Spanish lessons. And you know what? They were right. We went 2 full years without taking a salary, just trying to grow our company. We got a handful of users, made a few hundred in sales each month, eventually a few thousand, but it never was enough to sustain us. And we ultimately closed down our company and admitted defeat. All because we couldn't cross what's known as the Valley of Death. See, every company needs to cross the Valley of Death. I don't know if that's a real term or if I just made it up. Anyways, you start over here with a lot of unpredictability in your income. And that unpredictability has an impact on you. It can affect your ability to meet rent or a mortgage payment. It could add even more pressure if you have kids. This is usually where people are comfortable taking a risk with some instability while using their savings. But here's the deal, savings only last so long. And this is something I wish I did more diligently when I started my first company. I should have asked myself, how long can I go without an income? Or maybe it's an income of 10 to 20% of what I was making. Get pessimistic here so you have a plan in case of the worst. Because your goal is to cross over this chasm here into predictable revenue so that you can sustain your business indefinitely. Once you cross this chasm, there's so much more you can do in your business to compound that growth. You can hire staff to eventually replace yourself. You could spend more time growing your business and less time doing the actual work. And that's all because you now have a sustainable amount of income that you can expect each month. So how do you get that sustainability and officially cross that chasm? Well, there are 2 ways. You can either start a business and race against the clock to get a sustainable amount of income, like I first did, or you can step into a business that's already stable. No, I'm not talking about buying another accounting firm, though to be honest, that too can work. There are plenty of sites where you can bid on an accounting firm for sale. But my preferred approach is through already having those clients locked in. That's right. When I first started My 8 Digits, I already had a signed opportunity. This company was going to pay me to be their fractional VP of finance at 20 hours a week. But you know what was amazing about the offer? It was at the same rate that I was making where I was working at the time, which was another boutique accounting firm. So my same salary, but at only 20 hours a week. That sounded like a no-brainer. But then again, I wanted even more stability. I didn't want to have to think about job security when I first started my firm, at least not for the first few months. I asked them to agree to a 7-month commitment, and they agreed. Think about that. I was getting paid the same I was making at my job, which was an employment at will, which means they can fire me whenever they want. And my first client contract was guaranteed for 7 months. It was less risky to start my own business than to stay at my job. Think about that difference from when I started my first company. Here, I already had a client. I already had a business model that I had been studying as I worked at another accounting firm, and I had tons of knowledge about the market. I also had a ton of business experience, which means there were a ton of mistakes that I made in my first company that I was committed to not making again this time. Now, I recognize I had a really unique opportunity here. Not everyone can just step into a new venture with customers who are willing to guarantee the income that you need to survive. Well, what I didn't tell you was the fact that I had this relationship with this client for over a year, and I was doing all sorts of small projects for them, working nights and weekends while I was working my full-time job. And it was only after working with them for a year that this opportunity presented itself, and I was ready to capitalize on it at just the right moment. So you're probably wondering how you can do the same. Well, luck certainly has a lot to do with it. But you can also be strategic. You can put yourself in front of your target audience, ideally while you still have a full-time job. That's how I did it. I started by telling everyone in my network that I was offering fractional CFO services on the side. Many people just wished me the best of luck and nothing really came out of it. But one person who I had interviewed with a bunch of years back replied to my email and was like, oh, here, talk to this guy. I'm a board member in his company. They need some help. The rest was history. Now, you may be thinking, wow, you got so lucky that this one guy you reached out to happened to need your services. Well, luck was definitely a factor, but that was also just one of the dozens and dozens of people who I reached out to. Most of those other contacts didn't really amount to anything, and that's actually very common. Only a small fraction of your network at any given point of time can help you. The key is to keep that network warm. Get in touch with everyone in your family. Let them know you're starting an accounting firm. Met someone at a networking conference? Tell them you're now taking the plunge and ask them to keep you in mind. Start by going to networking events where you can find your target audience. Now, if you haven't heard that term, it's the customer persona that is the most likely to become a customer when you pitch to them. Is it a startup, a non-for-profit? Are they venture-backed or private equity-backed? Is it a company that's pre-revenue? Are they a mom and pop shop? The more you can define who your ideal client is, the more likely you can get in front of them. And you can also do that through finding partners like investment firms or other service providers who complement what you do but don't compete with you, like law firms. Or you can make your customers come to you by sharing content on social media as an expert. That's how I built my audience to over 400,000 followers. But I can't go over all the details of how to win clients in this video. But instead, I can share it with you live in my new fractional CFO community. We're gonna do workshops on how to find clients, how to price your services, how to hire staff, and spend less time in your business and more time on your business. And best of all, you'll get the chance to connect with other firm owners who are going through the same struggles every day, where you can then trade notes and stay up to date on the best way to maximize your chances with success in your firm. Apply to be a part of the community at yourcfoguy.com/community. And now I'll finish with a summary of the other items you'll need to successfully launch your accounting firm. First, you'll need to understand which services you're offering. Is it tax services, bookkeeping, forecasting, and CFO services? There are tons of things you can offer. And then you could also get involved on the operational side of things. There's managing bill pay, payroll processing, customer invoicing. You can even explore adjacent services like HR services or managing insurance. The key is to get familiar with what book of services you'll offer and what you'll specialize in. My take has always been to offer a lot of services, but be exceptionally well at one of them. For us, it's fractional CFO services or forecasting. In fact, I've even hired an engineer to build out an Excel add-in that will automate a lot of the process where I can connect to my client's accounting software and generate beautiful dashboards like this one, or forecasts that can be updated with just the click of a button. But for you, it may look different. You may choose to specialize in tax planning, or maybe you do bookkeeping like a factory. And whatever services you use, give some thought into using the right tools to ensure that you can scale quickly without relying only on human capital. And for us, one of our favorite tools for that is Ramp, who was also nice enough to sponsor this video. Ramp makes it really easy to manage things like bill pay, corporate spend, and expense reimbursements. One of the first things we do when we onboard a client is ask, are you already using Ramp? If not, we sign them up. Because Ramp's platform makes it really easy to, let's say, create a virtual credit card, set a limit, and give it to anyone in your company. Or if you're processing bill pay for your clients, instead of logging into your bank and collecting approval manually, you can forward the bills directly from your inbox, assign to the client for approval, and process payment. What I also love is that Ramp has AI capabilities that makes it really easy to categorize expenses and then sync them back to your accounting platform, which makes our bookkeeping a breeze. Each time we refer a company to Ramp, we not only do our jobs more efficiently, but our clients tell me that they love the platform. And you can get started by visiting the link below and becoming a Ramp partner. And once you have all of your services dialed in, you can have your first customers paying you enough to sustain yourself. You really just need to take care of a few administrative stuff, but that's easy. So let's talk about that. First, you'll need a firm name. And it's so easy to get one. Just go to ChatGPT, ask for a list of 100 names, then go to a website like GoDaddy and do a bulk upload of all the names to see which domains are available. If a domain is available, do a search for anyone else using it via trademark. And if not, you now have your new firm name. Probably a good idea to check with your lawyer at this point, because next, you'll need to form a legal entity. Now, if you're starting an accounting firm, you probably know that from a tax perspective and a liability perspective, it's a must to start a separate company. I started an LLC based on where I am in New York, but where you are, it may be called something different. The key is to have a distinct, separate legal entity so that you can easily track income and expenses and protect yourself from unlimited liability. From there, you're pretty much done. You have an accounting firm. Now, you may be wondering, hey, you didn't mention anything about a website. And how about our pricing model? And will you charge hourly or fixed price? And when do you hire someone? Well, those are all important questions, but to me, that's for how to optimize your firm, which if you want me to cover in future videos, you could let me know down below in the comments. But until then, since you made it this far, it's obvious you're really committed to scaling your firm. And a great way to do that is via fractional CFO services. And for that, you'll want to check out this video because it shows you how to do this with Excel's Power Query that has been a total game changer for our firm. I'm Josh, your CFO guy, and I'll catch you next time.